Questions about cucumbers to homes on cul-de-sacs. You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you as we start another edition of the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate. I am the dad, Stan, and you are?
And I am James DeFreitas, and each and every
why are we
week
playing a recorded show?
discuss your gardening and or real estate needs. And again, one of the things I always would like to start.
And this is not a recorded show. This is a live show. And we are here, and, well, that stuff happens. So no problem. You can give us a call. This is March the 12th. The show will be recorded and played again later. But James is off. I'm here. This is a live show. This is March the 12th. And you can call us at 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. We do give you the numbers on occasion, and today's a live show, so go ahead and give us a call if you've got a question. I had a question earlier this week. Somebody sent me a question about their tomatoes and said, look, they're starting to bloom, but they've been blooming now for a couple weeks and they haven't set. Just realize that that can occur. And it reminds me, I don't see a clock moving, but we'll have to look at that too. But hopefully everyone has their, set everything is set on your clock. You have set it right now, and that we all are all on the same page. So 8:06, March the 12th, we are live, we are here, and that means you can give us a holler. I was talking to Ken earlier, and Ken was saying that he, down in Sun City Center, of course, we're everywhere. We're in Tampa Bay. If we're there, we want to hear from you. And
I've been having trouble with palm. Still, last time you were here, I was having trouble with a palm.
The nice thing about you is that you're consistent. And we love that about you here, that we know at AM 860, Ken is always going to be consistent. He is a palm walking problem. For a lot of folks, and Ken isn't alone, if you're from Chicago, as Ken is, or from New York State, or Michigan, or Ohio, or many of the other places that most of our population is from these days, unless you were indigenous folks that, are native Seminoles and some of the tribes that were here, most everybody is from somewhere else. And you could probably even make that argument that even some of our indigenous people originally came across the land bridge. And, so everybody's kind of a vagabond that travels. But I will say, Ken, you and your palm trees, have you put any fertilizer on them?
I haven't done that yet, no.
Okay. I see let me psychically here, I'll be like the great Carmack. I'll put my phone to my head. I see some fertilizers from Palm Food in your future. Mm-hmm. And you're not alone with that. Most people don't fertilize much of anything.
Especially a tree. In Chicago, I never fertilized a tree.
Right. And even there, I would say even big hardwood trees, we often find trees that are in problems. A lot of the old laurels and waters and lives even. Most every old tree I look at has some problems. And when I ask the folks, have you ever fertilized? They go, well, no, it's a tree.
Exactly.
But when you look at our sandy soil out there, we also use the term soil pretty loosely, too. It's basically silicon sand.
It's not the black dirt of Illinois, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
No. You grew up where there was mineral decomposition from eons of time, and because of that, it's tend to be easier. I've talked to one of my buddies who's a farmer up there, and he says, look, I don't have to irrigate. He said, once the ice melts, you get a little bit of rain, he says, I'm good. And he was raising hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of corn. And he said, look, you don't have to because of the kind of soil we have. It holds the moisture. and it's black and it's organic-y.
The best in the world.
Yeah. And so he had, we, on the other hand, have great sand for walking on beaches, if there isn't red tide. And I had a lady call me, too, from our last discussion. She might call in sometime, too. Lady said, I want to tell you the real story of what's happened down here with all the polluted water that came in from the overrun of the phosphate. And I invite her to call in if she wants. She called me on my office number, home number, and I tried to call her back, but she didn't call me back. But I will invite her to call me back if she would like to on our 1-877-969-8600 or the 813-289-1860 is our local number. That 1-877-969-8600 is anywhere in the continental U.S. Of course, today I don't think people have to worry about calls. Remember in the old days when you were a youngster?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a long-distance call? And it seemed like if you were in the next county, it was a long-distance call.
If you were out of your area code,
yes,
it was a long-distance call, no matter where that was. Yeah.
And for a long time here, even in Pinellas, well, we still have it kind of. We were 813, and then we became 727. And my one number is an 813 number I still have, and my other number is a 727 code. So I find that odd. Mike, send me a picture of your palm sometime. I did have somebody send me a picture of his palms the other day, and I'm not sure. He took a good picture of the frond, but I couldn't tell where it was on the tree. And so that kind of tells me some differences. If it's on the bottom of the tree and it's yellow, it often is a magnesium deficiency. If it's up on the top, it may be manganese. I also asked him, I said, look, we're going to be doing, I think it's coming up next month on Earth Day, which I think is April 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. I'll be doing a talk at the Oldsmar Library, and it'll be free. I think what I'll do is bring my pH tester and test some soils for free like I used to do at the home shows. Back when we may do the home show again when it, moves back from the Coliseum back down to the stadium down in where the Rays play. And that might be good. I used to do a lot of pH testing for people as a free service. Like to help people. I'm doing this as a service for you when I come in on Sundays. I like to try to help people because almost everybody is like Ken. They're from somewhere else. And you didn't have palms.
No, so what my problem is, not my problem, my concern is I've got 3 palms, 2 have new growth, 1 does not. So I'm wondering, is there something wrong with that palm, or does that just happen once in a while?
Well, we might have you take a picture of it and send it to me or bring it in next time I'm here. I'll be doing another live show in 3 weeks. But until then, you could send me one, to my number, 727-423-4794. That's my office. Well, it's my cell number because I tend to use that more than my office number now. So you can call me if you've got a problem. And a lot of people will send pictures, and I'm often happy with the pictures they send.
I'll send you video.
You can send me video. You can say,
we'll
hey.
Zoom right in there,
I was going to say, we have the ability. I've actually got the ability. We've got 3 cameras at home. We've got a little studio. We have Sony mics. I should be doing more television stuff. And in fact, I'm probably the only one in that I can think of in Salem who actually has done some professional television where we were on a major channel.
I know I've never been on television. I've avoided it like the plague for 40 years. Yeah.
You have a face for radio.
I do, yes.
I've heard that old one too. But yeah, well.
There's some people should not be on TV, and I'm one of them, yes.
I don't know about that. You've got a good voice and you're personable.
And that's why I'm here.
So that makes, radio is a different medium. I love radio. I like television too. I used to do a show for 12 years on PBS locally on Channel 3. 2 seasons we did it on CBS, and we had a good rating there. We had about 60,000 viewers on my CBS show. And I thought, it's funny, I took over a time slot that was a total flat line in ratings. It didn't get anything. It wasn't even a bleep. And we went on and did the show for a couple seasons and got them some really pretty good numbers. I mean, it's kind of like if you filled up Tampa Bay Stadium, you would have been equal. maybe more equal than when the Bucks were at their worst. Back then, they used to have people would put their tickets underneath other people's windshield wipers.
Oh my!
Well, no one really likes that 0 and 15 team or 1 and 15.
Yeah.
Everybody likes when Tom Brady and everybody's taking home Super Bowls.
Everybody loves the winner. That's right.
Then you wear the hat. Now, who knows what's going to happen?
I'm a Cub fan. You don't have to explain.
Yeah, you're used
being
to
bad
that.
to me.
For always next season, right?
There's always, yeah, that's right, exactly.
And so that was kind of the case for the Bucks. I remember seeing McKay in the old days, and I was out to lunch one time, and I thought, he looked the same as he did on the sidelines, and I nodded, and he nodded. I didn't go bug him because I thought, well, he's, kind of Hulkster. I saw the Hulk out one time at a restaurant at Arigato's, and he was with his family, and I thought, yeah, I'd like to go say howdy, but I thought, I'm not going to interrupt a guy when he's having a nice time with his family, as much as you like to have fans come up and say howdy. And I've had fans sometime, at least in the old days, used to come up and ask for my autograph when I'd be out walking around in malls and stuff, which been a few years. But
yeah, it was nice for you to let him just have dinner.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's very annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've never been that kind of a star that had that many people coming up to me and saying, "Hey," while you're having dinner. But I've had a few people that noticed who I was back, especially when I was doing more stuff with Jocular Jack on Channel 13 and on Channel 8.
That's why people like Elvis become, so isolated.
Well, that's a lot of reason that I'm here. A lot of people don't think I'm still in Tupelo, Mississippi. But anyway, if you want to be with us, give us a call, 813-289-1860. And, there's our clock. I see it. I'm just not used to it there. Great. That gives me everything I need. So we're doing super. If you've got a question, you've got a plant problem, it's a live show today, and it's March the 12th. And if there's something in your mind, give us a jingle for the Ask Mr. Greenthumb show right here on AM 860.
Want to talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online, aflre.com. Broken air conditioner? Keep your home's AC running smoothly all year long with Easy Breezy AC. With thousands of active commercial and residential customers, Easy Breezy AC is Tampa Bay's most trusted HVAC company. Easy Breezy AC cares about those in need. Donate 2 cans of food and receive $20 off a $79 service call. Go to easybreezyac.com and use promo code GREENTHUMB for an additional $10 off your service call. Call 727-856-HVAC. Life's hard. Comfort's not.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786. On the web at staffordtreesvc.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's PLANTZ, is bringing nature inside, in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Hey, it's Tim Cooper with Health Plan Network. The open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act Marketplace plans is ending soon. If you've already enrolled in one of those high-deductible, limited network plans, you're not stuck. You can opt out at any time. My Freedom of Choice plan is available all year round. It puts most of your coverage up front, where you only meet a deductible if you go into a hospital. You pick your doctors, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than Obamacare. Also, the monthly premiums have nothing to do with your income, so no surprises at tax time. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call me, Tim Cooper, at 813-212-2580, 813-212-2580, or go to healthplannetwork.net. That's healthplannetwork.net, and we can custom design a plan that's managed by you. not the government.
Hey, it's the captain here. Have you heard or seen all of the commercials for custom orthotics? They're a wonderful product for anyone who's suffering from plantar fasciitis or an overpronounced gait, meaning you're not walking right. Maybe you stopped running or jogging due to the pain of a sore tendon. When you step into a pair of custom orthotics that are molded specifically to your foot, you'll feel like you're walking on air. You'll begin to move again, maybe even start running like you used to. Advanced Podiatry and Wound Care makes all of their orthotics right in their office in St. Petersburg. They do not farm out their orthotics out to a lab. You sit down with a doctor, have your orthotics custom molded to your feet, and away you go, pain-free walking and running. They help me with my foot problems, and I know they can help you. Advanced Podiatry and Wound Care, just past 66th Street on 38th Avenue, near the mall in St. Pete. Google Advanced Podiatry and Wound Care.com.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb in Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And of course, James is off, but I am here, and I am Stan DeFreitas, Mr. Greenthumb, kind of a handle I've been using for the last 45 years on radio. And boy, time has flown by. I just saw that, I guess I may try to get to our Channel 3. Looks like they're going to have another kind of a community happening on the same day that I'll be giving a talk at the library, but they're going to be opening up the doors in the morning. So I might get over briefly in the morning and then see some of my old friends who worked with Channel 3. As I say, I put in about 12 years there, and I still hear from some of my buddies like, Brian, for one, and who did just about everything. Back then, of course, did a lot of live productions. I don't guess they're doing that now. But actually, I thought that was one of the good things that they did. We had like a little painting show, and we had some other things like a cooking show, and I did a little gardening show. And we actually did good numbers there, too. We were usually beating some of the major networks with PBS, and I thought that was helpful. I have tried to thought about reviving that show. We did do 2 seasons last time, a number of years ago, on CBS, and we did well there. Right now, I'm going to tell you, with the world in such a disarray, one of the things that I enjoy is, well, a couple of number of things, I would say. The smell of fresh cut grass. I enjoy that. Maybe that sounds goofy.
No, I'm right there with you on that one.
I think it's great. It's kind of like one of the things I enjoy about a ball game. When you go out to, Mr. Anderson called me the other day for a ball game to go out, and I just couldn't. I had some other thing I had to do, but I always enjoy usually getting to a spring training game, because one of the things in the spring training games is you'll smell that fresh cut grass, and to me that's a fun thing. It's enjoyable. Looking at flowers as you get to any age. I'm amazed young children love flowers, and folks that tend to be older like, pretty flowers. I mean, I love my hibiscus. I'll go out and sometimes stare at it. I sometimes will bring a flower in to the lovely Mrs. GT and bring her a flower, a rose, or bring her a hibiscus that I've picked from my garden area. Not that I'm like the shoemaker's kid that doesn't wear shoes. My yard's probably the last one that I really work on.
Flower almost got me arrested once.
Oh, a flower almost got you arrested?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
What kind of bud was it?
It was just a flower. It was, it was a pretty flower.
I was going to say the hidden
no,
Ken will now come out.
No. I was walking I was like 17 or something. We were walking through Grand Park on a lovely evening. In Chicago, and I saw a flower there, so I picked it for my lovely lady. Apparently, that's illegal in Grand Park.
Some
cop saw me do it and said, "Hey, you can't pick flowers there."
He said, "You're going to put him in the slammer."
I wouldn't have to arrest her for that, kid. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. You probably shouldn't go through parks picking all the flowers. But,
no.
if it's in your backyard, or even if you were in a park and you saw sunflower and you gave it to your sweetie, I don't know. I don't think you should be arrested for that. With all the things that go on in the world,
Especially in Chicago, there's plenty of people to arrest if you're looking
I was going to say, yeah,
to do that kind of thing.
I was in Chicago once or twice. It's a neat city, great city for having steaks, and downtown I thought was interesting, and I was surprised in May that it was cold off the water coming in.
Oh, in May, sure, yeah.
And down here we've got summer, and then we've got summer.
Yeah, we've had snow on opening day in April, so
That's almost unimaginable for the typical Floridian that has grown up here. And even though I have some of my relatives, a lot of my relatives came from up north, I was born in St. Petersburg and have lived most of my life either in Clearwater or Oldsmar or in this area. And so for me, I consider myself certainly a Florida boy. But, I've heard stories of some of my ancestors came up from around the Oswego area in New York. Apparently, gets just a little tad cold around there at Syracuse.
builds character, though, that kind of cold.
It might even be worse than Chicago, or at least equal to. So, anyway, we are here. Ken, what else is going on in Sun City Center?
Well, they're trying to turn the golf course into some homes, which is creating quite some problems.
Oh, I bet a lot of the old-time golfers do not like that idea, but I bet the developers are going, hey, we have to squeeze a few more units in here to make some money to keep this thing going.
Well, apparently they're selling the golf course. It's not happening. It wasn't making any money, I guess. So they were putting it on the bid, and I guess the developer's interested, but he's going to wipe out a lot of green space. So that's the fight right now. How much green space do they have to leave, and where do they have to leave it?
And normally you're going to lose a lot. It's, more people want to come in, and Sun City Center is sort of one of those retirement meccas.
Well, you got to be 55 or older, so you cut off a big chunk of the market right there.
That's true. But then there are a lot of folks who like the idea of retiring and living in a community where they love to see their grandkids, but they also maybe are at a point where they've done the kid and grandkid thing, and they like seeing their grandkids and their kids, but maybe they also like a more quiet life.
Yes, very much so.
And so that for a lot of folks, they're looking for a 55-plus community.
Well, there's a big fight going on because of it. They want to lose that golf course.
Most
of the backyards are on a golf course there.
Yes, I've been down there. I've actually done some work on occasion. There's some trees in there, and we had one tree that had a problem. It was a holly down there with Speriopsis, and there really isn't a great control for it, but I was experimenting, and I actually told the lady, look, I don't know, but I'd like to, if you'd like, I'll try to experiment with some different fungicides and see if we can get that under control. She had me do it a number of times, and I'm not sure. It seemed like it helped, but also with Speriopsis, it's kind of a warty-looking growth that gets on hollies, and probably one of the best things to do is to clean your trimmers and trim it out where you can, but it seems to have a nasty habit of showing back up once it's infected. And
chop it down. I say chop it down.
Yeah, chop it down. This was kind of, she had one of those areas too where I would say, which you probably can recognize in Sun City Center, it was kind of blocking between hers and the other neighbor across the way.
Mm-hmm.
So she really liked that little bit of
that extra screening. But at a distance, I have some of that. Yes.
Yes, and I saw that kind of not everywhere, but often you saw that between the units.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you have Bermuda down there, so it has a nice look.
That's what they call it on mine. Now,
yeah, it's kept low. It's the same grass you use on the golf green.
Doesn't look the same.
Well, one of the reasons they're selling their golf course is it's a lot of expense to keep that much. You got to mow it all the time. It should be mowed on a regular basis at a very low. Means you got to irrigate a lot when you keep a grass that low.
That costs money. Yeah.
And it also means you got to fertilize. You got to spray for insects, fungus. You can get into some insect problems. So, other than that.
Yeah, I have a lot of gray sand. That's all I really have there.
Gray sand. Well, you could get some seed. of Bermuda, which is what you have.
Well, I have to make a list now. I got to go to the store and get the palm stuff. So
Yeah, your palm food, maybe a little bit of Bermuda seed. You could sprinkle it and water it in. Stay with us as the Plant Talk and Real Estate Talk continues here on AM 860, The Answer.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Did you know that Stan DeFrida's Mr. Green Thumb can come to your house and examine your plants, trees, and palms? His knowledge can help you become the envy of your neighborhood with lush, green, healthy trees that don't just live, but thrive. Palms and oak trees are part of what makes Florida a beautiful place to live, but they get diseases and are often cut down. We offer ways to save your trees. Call or text Stan today at 727-423-4794 or go online to AskMrGreenthumb.com. That's AskMrGreenthumb.com.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.com. 3.7 FM, W229DJ Dunedin. By downloading the Answer Tampa app or on TuneIn or Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center. AM 860, The Answer. Online at theanswertampa.com. 60, The Answer.
Every day we hear news about violent assaults, carjackings, and other acts of crime spiraling across the United States. Washington's answer is to confiscate your guns, but a new book from Regnery offers hope for a better solution. Professional firearms instructor and veteran gun store owner Larry Correa's new book, In Defense of the Second Amendment, pulls back the curtain on Washington's gun-grabbing agenda and how you can protect your rights as well as your family. Yet, In Defense of the Second Amendment, new from Regnery, available at Amazon.com.
You've been working hard, doing the right thing, and paying your taxes, and putting your hard-earned money in the Medicare piggy bank all your life. And now it's time to break the piggy bank and get something back. Medicare. If you didn't know it, Medicare is health insurance for people over 65, and you paid for it with your tax dollars. Medicare plans now have more benefits than ever. That's good news, especially if you're like me and looking forward to paying as little as possible for good health insurance. Call and find out what Medicare plan is best for you. Save your time. It's valuable. We've already done the research for you. And in one quick phone call, you can learn how to get the best Medicare plan designed exactly for you. Hey, it's one of the most important decisions in your life. Let us help you through it. Here's our number. Call 65 Plus Medicare now at 800-365-6303, 800-365-6303, 800-365-6303. That's 800-365-6303.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions about gardening, real estate, or both? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFridas.
And James is off, but James DeFridas, who's my son, who's a great son, couldn't ask for a better youngster. And actually, he's not that young anymore, but that means I'm not that young anymore either. But great help to me. He often, we look at trees. He's identifying problems now, too, because he's a sharp young man. He can look at things, and I usually go with James. I usually look at the trees, usually help to confirm his diagnosis, and then we usually set up a treatment plan.
Any grandchildren in the family going into the business?
Probably not.
Oh.
Probably not. Yeah, it's too bad. I have mixed emotions about that. James likes to travel, and his wife does too. And so anyway, James is certainly. I'd say he'd be successful at anything he does. He does run Dream Real Estate, and I will say that we do have a condominium that is for sale. We have a price reduction. So if you're looking for a 55 plus up, as you were just mentioning, condo, we have one of those that you can go take a look at. And I was going to make sure we had her here. I will pull her up as we do all of the things that we have here. Wrong one. And
well, 55 and plus communities, I tell you, they're great. They really are.
Well, yeah, and I think I've been to hers. The one down there that we're trying to sell, they've got shuffleboard. They've got, the what's the thing where they throw the deal at the box and like the bag bing thing.
Bing bag. A bean bag toss, yeah.
Yeah, there's another name for it too, but I can't think.
Horseshoes?
Yeah, horse. Well, I imagine you could. There's a lot of room down there. You got a beautiful
All you need
pool.
is 2 sand pits and you're there, yeah.
Yeah, it is one of those that I would recommend that you check out this, and it's in St. Petersburg, and you will enjoy her place. I'll have to look it up here after.
How far from the beach?
Kind of mid-area. It's not too far from the interstate. So anywhere in St. Pete, you're not too far to the beach.
That's true. Yeah.
People go, well, how far did you travel up north? Well, you had to go an hour and a half to get here to there.
Depending on your life, you might be better being close to the interstate.
Yes. So where she's at down there, Carol's property, beautiful. They have a real nice. I think it's 1900. I'm going to say 59th. Let me make sure I pull that up right. I don't want to be giving out bad information. But she is just a fine lady, and actually made the place really cute. She's got some of her own, walls she's kind of done, and I recommend that you, go out and see your realtors. Now, James is great in that he's helpful. He tries to give extra service. He tries to give you comps. What I like about what James is doing is he's letting you know what's going on now, because we're in kind of a flux in real estate. Looks like we're heading more and more toward a recession, and it looks like almost, and I'm not picking on the government, but it seems like our government's trying to push us into a recession. I mean, I know they had inflation is high, and of course the way to cure that is to keep making rate hikes. Eventually, if you make enough rate hikes, you will put the economy into a recession. And you don't have to be, a Harvard grad in economics to realize that. And
that also comes with higher unemployment usually.
Yes, and normally when more people are out of work. This at 1900 59th Avenue North, number 112. And if you want to make an appointment to see it, I say she just made a substantial price reduction, or we should say improvement. That's the better way to apply it.
You guys know how to spin it. Yeah.
Well, it sounds better. I find like so many things in life, but that just means that she's motivated. She wants things to happen. And everybody that I have shown the place to says, gosh, it's beautiful. Really enjoy it. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So it's I think it's nice that you can keep something like that. As you get older, it's easier to have something that's you can take care of.
Especially when somebody's handling the outside.
Yeah, if somebody's doing the mowing and the edging and the flower beds, and somebody's taking care of the pool, all of that type of thing is nice to have. And that's one of the advantages to a condominium. And, for a lot of folks, you get to a point where you can't take care of the house, or it's getting cost prohibitive. You got to pay for a lawn service. You got to pay for a pool company. You've got all these different things that you have to have. And when you start adding them all up with increased property taxes and increased insurance.
That Social Security check leaves pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get a little bit of an increase, but every time you go to the store, I will be like everybody else. I go into the store and I'm going, oh my gosh, you know, it's cost more and more and more, and we all can feel that. We can feel that at the pump. It's costing us more, and one of the problems is when you give money everywhere around the world, and our country does pretty much to almost every country that says we need some money, that can be a problem. So,
well, there's a lot of waste in this government right now, right here, without even looking outside the country.
I used to love, there was a guy named Lewis Maxwell who did a Florida gardening guide, and he was kind of a character, very smart, knew his insects really well, knew his plant material really well, and he wrote some little series of books. And on the back of almost all of his books, he had this one little quote here, and he says, it can happen here. And it just says, the budget should be balanced, the treasury should be refilled, the public debt should be reduced, the arrogance of the officialdom should be tempered and controlled, and assistance to foreign lands should be curtailed, lest we become bankrupt, and the mob should be forced to work and not demand our government for subsistence. And this was Marcus Cicero, and it was back, of course, 106 to 48 BC. So I just think, I think it's amazing that what was said then kind of applies today. And
so life never changes.
I was going to say, the more time goes on, the more some things stay the same.
I guess so.
And
but that's no reason for us to give up.
No, we're not giving up. We just have to, I think we have to set some priorities and maybe sometimes set some ideas. It's almost like, well, if the Democrat says one thing, the Republican says another, somewhere in between is probably the truth. And, I find it, sometimes I'll watch one show and I'm going, well, I'll watch that show on that channel, and then I watch that show on that channel, and they're like 180 degrees apart on how they look at the same story.
And you're right, somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle is probably more the truth. But it's funny, if you talk to either side, they go, oh, no, our side's totally 110% right. And no, it's probably not
It's
true.
become a contest.
Yeah, it has. And
it's no longer Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill sharing a bottle of bourbon working on a budget.
See, that's what we need to go back to today.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about the bourbon, but yes, it's something that we probably need to sit down and hammer things out and maybe get more realistic in what we can and can't.
And everybody's got to give a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the nature. Should
called
be
the
nature of
compromise.
politics. Yes.
Worked pretty well for about 210 years or so.
Yeah, I was watching a show last night, and they were talking about some of the corruption that would occurred, back in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And even in our politics, too, because we like to think, well, it never happens in America. But it certainly, there were people trying to move things and buy things, and maybe even a few times in Chicago.
No. No.
Mr. Daly, could we have our road paved?
They never got him for anything.
Yeah. Which way did you vote? And then we'll decide if you're getting your road paved. But sorry.
Not just that, but garbage picked up or snow shoveled or whatever you want. Make sure you vote Democratic.
Yeah,
or you're in trouble.
I went up to one of the trade shows in Chicago one time, and not to pick on it, but I was kind of shocked that if I wanted to plug something into an outlet, at your booth, you had to have an electrician come over to
Surprised you weren't tackled.
I was going to say, I said, well, in Florida, you could just kind of plug in something if the outlet's there. No. Welcome to Chicago. You cannot do that.
We're paying somebody $80 an hour to do that for you, Stan. So
I was just, it really kind of shocked me, and I mentioned it, and then the guy who ran the show goes, I don't know if I ever want you talking about my show again. And I said, well, the truth's the truth, so let the truth set you free. But
very powerful unions up there.
Oh, Lord. Now, I enjoyed much of it. The food was great. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the camaraderie that I saw. I went to a couple.
Lots of museums, lots of sports teams to look at.
Yeah, I mean, every which way you look, it seems like there's another ball field.
Entertainment, everybody stops in Chicago,
So, there were some good things. I see that, crime's been somewhat of a problem, but a lot of I think it's funny that a lot of the big cities have a lot of crime, which they've had, but when you try to tell the police what they can't do and defund them, almost everywhere they've tried that, it has backfired and not worked well at all.
Well, I don't think they've been defunding the police in Chicago.
No, probably not.
No, what they need to do is bring in the National Guard.
Okay, yeah, bring in the howitzers.
Put a National Guard soldier on or a couple of them on every street corner, yeah.
Well, it's funny. If you're in some cities, I know like in New York, if you're down in downtown Manhattan, there is a police officer almost on every block. And,
sure.
And you're going to see them. And so there's a real presence there of police. And you're probably not going to do very much because the guy is probably going to get you within the block. Or at least that's the way it was when I was there. So
Chicago, not that bad. You don't see that many cops on the street.
Okay.
But that was before recently there's been a lot of crime downtown, which has usually been verboten from the gangs.
Relatively safe.
Yes, but that seems to be changing. So my guess is you're going to start seeing a lot more cops down Chicago now.
Well, I was noticing out here today around the place, the bird of paradise is starting to bloom already. Has the flower, looks like a bird with the kind of the orange and blue. It's beautiful. I would say it does well with bone meal and blood meal if you want to give it something to make it flower even better. Also, the Exors, I see some are blooming. Some of them, the newest ones we had out last year that are kind of open, probably got nipped by the cold just a tad. So they'll take another couple weeks before they start to bloom again. But we've also got some variegated ginger out there. It looks good. And we have a couple trees that really need treatment. So maybe we'll have a telethon here, a radiothon, so we can collect money so the trees won't fall.
Save the tree.
Around AM 860, The Answer.
Want to talk real estate? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786, on the web at StaffordTreeSVC.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Get ready for International Diamond Center's largest bridal event ever with a head-to-head matchup of the nation's two most acclaimed ring designers, Tacori and Viraggio. It's next weekend, March 17th, 18th, and 19th. For the first time ever, IDC's flying in the entire collections from these iconic designers. All the newest creations with special cash incentives and long-term zero-interest financing. There has never been a better time to get the ring of your dreams. These are the best of the best in stunning handcrafted bridal jewelry. Tacori from California with its signature crescent design, and Viraggio from New York with its distinctive, unique look unlike any other. Compare these spectacular rings side by side, and if you buy the ring and the matching band during this event, IDC will give you $1,500 towards your purchase. Plus, we're opening up the vault with thousands of GIA and Forevermark diamonds to choose from at exceptional prices for this 3-day buying opportunity. Don't miss the two most sought-after designers, Tacori and Viraggio, coming together on the IDC stage for 3 incredible days, March 17th through 19th, with special incentives and zero-interest financing. International Diamond Center, Tampa, Clearwater, and Lakeland.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Green Thumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And James is off, but I am here, and that means you can call us if you want to. You've got about 10 more minutes, 877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. We'll put you on the air with us if you've got a plant, tree, shrub, whatever question. I was going to say, I did cut back some roses the other day a little bit because they were getting a little leggy. And they had a little bit of black spot on them and a little bit of other fungal spotting in the leaf. And so sometimes the easiest way is just to kind of give them a haircut, cut them back about a third. And I did that on one of my hibiscus branches too. And I know I'll lose some blooms on that particular area, but it needs to be brought back some. So I'm kind of doing it gently. Now, I know a lot of people like to go out there and just hack everything off. Not really a total fan of that, but some people like it, and I can't say that you can't do it because I've seen it successfully done. If you've got roses, you probably are going to have powdery mildew. You're going to have some black spots. You're going to have some aphids. You're going to get probably some scales sometimes. You're going to get some downy mildew, powdery mildew, and other than that, they're trouble-free. So, yes, roses do require a little bit of care, a little bit more care than some. But I still think they're kind of worth it, and I don't spray all the time. I found some varieties are hardier than others. Now, with Ken saying, my Chicagoan saying he never fertilizes, you probably should. Amount of fertilizer, you don't have to put it. Do keep it out of the walkways. Do keep it out of the road. Do keep it where it needs to be. We don't need to increase any chances of pollution. That being said, it's important for us to try to stay on top of that. Let's also say that you may want to trim some stuff that's out of bounds now. In general, the rule is about 1/3 on a plant. You want to trim a tree up. If you've got branches that are crossing, you want to have those removed. One of the reasons that I recommend Stafford tree so often is I know they're going to do a good job. You're going to trim off those branches that are in the wrong place. If you've got dead wood, it needs to be removed. And when you start looking at a tree, you may start to notice more of that. You start to notice some pockets in the tree. If you've got problems there, then you need to probably think of having the tree treated. That's something that I do. James does with me. And we go out and we actually, will inject trees. We put, looks like little Popeye's pipe. The guy who invented this system was in the hospital about 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, and he was getting an IV. And he said, look, if we can do that for people, why can't we kind of reverse engineer it for plants and trees? Now, they're not exactly like we have. They don't have the venations, but they do have kind of a venation system. They've got phloem and xylem tissue. They've got, remember your old science class, the phloem is food-conducting tissue and xylem is your water-conducting tissue. So if you can get underneath that outer bark is kind of your cambium layer, and that's your growth layer. There are other tissues, too, that can bring up some water up to the tree. And those xylem tissues can get it up there in a hurry. So I like this system. Now, in the old days, for, let's say, wood borers, I used to spray with lindane, which was benzene hexachloride. Did a great job. It just wasn't I didn't like using it because it's pretty toxic. I'd have to look like a spacesuit getting ready for space because I knew that it was fairly toxic. So what I would say today, we can inject safer pesticides, ones that are systemic, that will be absorbed up through the tree. And I think it's a better way to go. Now, we almost always put some nutrients into the tree, too, because part of it, just like you need something to keep you going. And if you were, getting an IV, you're normally getting some fluids to help rehydrate you, sometimes a little bit of sugar water in there, too, to help give you, to help get you over whatever you may have. And I hope you're not going through that. As much as I love the wonderful folks at, Tampa General Hospital a couple of years ago, where I was for a long time, I am just as glad that I'm not there. Now, I do miss their smiling faces. Many of your doctors and nurses were just wonderful people, and I really did appreciate much of the staff. There's only a few bad eggs here and there, and for the majority, just like people ask me about policemen, most of our policemen are doing a great job. Yes, occasionally there's a bad egg here or there, but that's true in any business or any society. So in general, I give police and firefighters a good pat on the back because they're doing a job that when you need them, you will appreciate them, that they are there to help save your life. So I think we should remember them and remember them in a good fashion. For the most part, and then that's true for all professions. Even when you go to a restaurant, sometimes you'll see people who really love doing what they're doing, and sometimes you see people who you obviously don't care to be doing what they're doing, and that's a shame. I've always loved horticulture. I like real estate. Real estate, if I can help people solve their problem, and there usually will be some negotiations, there will usually be some problems along the way. That's just part of it. When you see something happen, when you get the deal done eventually, then everybody's happy on all sides. And that is a good thing. So I know there's millions of realtors out there. And I give you all a pat on the back because you all have to, there are showings and there's going to places and there's placing stuff into MLS. There's a whole process that needs to be done. And there's more work than the average person would see. And especially if it's done right, especially if you're dragging someone to, 10 different places. And the worst thing that can happen is you can do that as a realtor and then wind up having them go dark on you, which happens more times than you might want. Anyway, I'm here to help you each week. People will have sent me samples. Last week I had some samples of tomatoes that were sent to me. I said, wait. Once they bloom for a week or two, they will start to usually set fruit. As we get hotter, they will do some of the larger fruiting tomatoes may shut down on setting fruit as it gets real hot, but we're not there yet. As long as we've got a cool night temperature, the tomatoes should set. Broccoli. I just harvested some lettuce the other day. Broccoli's looking good. Cabbage is looking good. I enjoy that. I enjoy my avocados, my bananas. I love seeing something that I can share with other folks, and it's nice to have. So get out there and smell the roses. Enjoy some of the beauty that's around you. Look at some trees. That's your assignment this week. I did that one time. One lady called me and she said, I really like it that you gave me an assignment. So your assignment is to go look at some nature. Look at some trees. Look at the birds up in the trees. Listen for some of the different calls that you'll get, some of the different colors. My son James is now becoming somewhat of a bird watcher. He'll send me pictures. He said, look at that. And I thought, that's great. That means he's starting to get even more in touch with some of these birds that are there, and he has a feeder out. And yes, I think the squirrels are getting fatter and fatter, and they actually knock on his little glass door on occasion, reminding James to make sure he's bringing that food out on a regular, constant basis, which dogs are usually in a chagrin about. But I will say the plants that we have, things are looking good. We got a little bit of rain the other day. We could use some more. We're in our traditional dry time. So you might measure how much water, if you've got a system, is going out. You may drag some hoses around if you're still doing that. Did that forever and years of that. I now have an automatic system, which I've had now for, 20 years. And gosh, I love it because I can irrigate areas. I can kind of cap off areas where I don't need it, which I have on occasion, where it's hitting things that I didn't want it to hit. I love having a clock that actually times stuff out for me. I've got a tensometer that will actually set the system off if we're getting too much water, if we're getting too much rain. It's a little gauge, and it can, let you know if your system should be running or not running, because if it's staying full with water, it will totally shut the system down. The tensometer idea, almost every irrigation place can put one up for you. If you don't have it, you probably should, because too much of a good thing can get you into trouble as well. You don't want, if it's raining out there, cats and dogs, you don't need to have your system clicking on either. So you might work with that too. Also, might say that, take a look at if you're thinking about selling a house, give us a call there. We are kind of a boutique realtors. We work with only a handful of people. We're not trying to get everywhere and sell everything, but we try to do a great job for the folks that we can. So if you want somebody that's going to be, somebody you know, like, and trust, well, that certainly should be James DeFreitas. And if you want to give me a call, the number is 727-423-4794. Go out and smell the roses and enjoy your life and garden just as much as you can. Enjoy the day.
Want to talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online, aflre.com.
Tampa Bay's only conservative station. AM 860, The Answer. WGUL. Dunedin. Download the